Welcome to Hip Hop Now Podcast. If you're from the future, you know what to do. Get your ass out of here. Don't disrespect the legend. Hip hop is here to stay. Let's get right into the business.
What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is Hip Hop Now Podcast, a podcast specifically designed to keep you caught up on all things hip hop music and culture that happened throughout the week. Big shout out to the subscribers on audio form, whether you listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or whatever. The podcast is everywhere. Shout out to you for pushing that subscribe button, because that subscribe button means you like it. You may love it. You want to see and hear more of it. Big shout out to those who are watching right here on YouTube. And if you listen to audio and you're like, oh, there's a video version. Yes, there is. Come on along. Come join us. The link is in the description of this episode. Man, it's, first of all, happy belated Juneteenth. You know, that happened. If you're from the future, get your ass out of here. You already know the vibes, okay? Also, this channel and the audio podcast, in a lot of ways, when it comes to content creation, there are a number of things that I have planned to do, but I want to make sure they're worthwhile, right? Some people just on YouTube specifically just constantly pump out content because that's kind of what you have to do on YouTube to stay engaged, to stay active. Now, I do that in some regards, right? I see a lot of things on the internet and I share them via shorts. So a lot of people have come to this channel via the shorts I post. And I like to say this, that's cool, because I'm doing what they're doing. I'm browsing, I'm seeing things, I'm engaging. And it's dope to see that people wanted to subscribe to this channel, because I'm basically curating hip hop shorts, right? From different creators. But the heads are the ones that'll watch and listen to the podcast, because the podcast is a deeper experience. So if your experience with all things hip hop, news, nostalgia, no matter what it is, but you like it in short form, just follow because of the shorts. I'm good with that. I'm good with people arguing as long as you keep it clean and it's not racist and all that. I'm good with people celebrating things in the comment section of shorts. Trust me, I've had shorts that did crazy numbers as a result of not only people who love hip hop coming together, but also it feeds the algorithm, right? Organically. So it's not bots, it's the people. Some people are surprised by that, but I am not. And I'm not trying to brag, but I'm just telling you what it is. I graduated from Morgan State University with a college degree in communications, primarily media, meaning television and radio. I've worked for over 25 years in radio, but the difference is I've worked specifically on the content side, which is directly connected to audience, right? So creating for audience, analyzing audience, all that good stuff. So that's exactly what I'm doing here, but I'm doing it from a more organic situation, right? I like what I like. I know there's a lot of people who like a lot of things I like. That's what I present to you. So when you go to this channel beyond the shorts and you say, well, what's on here? Well, there's this weekly news podcast called Hip Hop Now Podcast, right? If that's not your bag, well, I have a podcast with the homie Tony from Into the Dome podcast, who's also on YouTube. That's all about the history of hip hop, nostalgia, moments, artists, record labels. We break it down. There's over 70 plus episodes of just that. And I started doing reactions recently because people like reactions, and I like reacting because it's just you seeing me do something that I do anyway, that you probably do, which is, browse YouTube and say, oh, Drake started the singing and rapping phase. Oh, I need to press play on that because they lying, right? So you go in and you watch and you have a reaction. The difference is you just get to see my reaction. And if you see a video like that, please send it to me. I will do a reaction to it, okay? I will. Um, but all of the content, all the things I'm creating for this channel and for this audio podcast is all about building conversation. I know there's a lot of built-in answers to a lot of things on the internet because you are faced with a lot of it being fake and not true. So sure, the new phrase is they did it for engagement because that's true for a lot of people. They will do and say things literally for engagement so they can monetize or so they could just gain a huge following and then pretend to be celebrities. In real life, nobody really knows you, right? They follow your Twitter account, they follow your Instagram account, but you can still go to the store. You're not a celebrity. You know what I'm saying? You can still go to the store. Even when I had my little radio station, and trust me, I was broadcasting to way more listeners to the station than followers I may have today. But I could still walk outside because nobody knew it was me like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when they could see my profile on the website, uh, you wouldn't be able to spot me in public. The only time I've been spotted in public was when I was hosting a hip hop show way back in the day, and I was at a festival in Baltimore, and I was at the radio station's booth, and I was talking to the interns, and a dude who came to the booth, who obviously was a fan of the station, he was looking at me, and you know I'm from the hood, and you can place that wherever you want to in this world, but specifically Brooklyn, New York. You heard? But I'm thinking, what is this? What we about to do? Like, what's about to happen here? Why homie looking? And he was like, "You Vegas?" I'm like, "Yeah." Right? You see how my eyes got? Yeah. And he was like, "Yo, you funny. I listen to strictly hip hop." And that was the first time I was like, "Oh yeah, I guess somebody who listens to that show, if they heard me but they don't see me all the time, they would be like, is that him? It sounds exactly like him." So again, here at Hip Hop Now Podcast, we don't need to cap. We don't need to do things for likes and follows. Do we want them? Of course we want them. But that's more growing a community of people who love the things that we love. You get it? Now, big shout out to hiphopdx.com. Double XL, even though y'all did something crazy on Juneteenth I wasn't really feeling. And a couple of places where I'm getting these stories from. Let's get right into the business. Oh boy. So Pusha T and his brother Malice, or No Malice, I think he's still going by No Malice, dropped a new single that will be on their forthcoming album, Like God Sort 'Em Out. The single is called So Be It, and it's fire. Bars, the beat is I mean, it's everything anybody who loves the Clipse expects to hear, but I think it's even better than that, right? I think it's better than that. Def Jam dropped the ball, y'all. I'm sorry. Uh, so this new single drops with a video, and I watch it like everybody else, and apparently there's a portion in the song where Pusha T is taking shots at Travis Scott. And from what I gathered, not only from the bars, but also him talking about it in an interview, like I think like the same day that the song dropped, their issue stems from a situation that happened that Pusha T wasn't really feeling. And also, he wasn't feeling the fact that they had some sort of relationship that went sour over this situation, right? Like Pusha T explains it like he was being pure, even though he didn't like certain things. Well, I'm saying all that to say is when I tell you what he said in this most recent interview, it says a lot more. Not only about the relationship, but how he feels. And the end result is like, damn, does Travis Scott need to answer this? with like a diss record or a verse. So let me just let y'all know the situation before we get there, right? So shout out to Nick who dug up this information before I did the show, so I ain't have to do the research. Okay, but the situation is Pusha T and Malice or No Malice were in a studio session with Pharrell. Travis Scott came into the studio session, kind of interrupted it because he wanted to play some songs for them. Uh, they let that happen, but he was also filming, and he also was acting weird. He had a lot of weird energy, like he was up to something, right? But obviously, if you cool with somebody, you're not really thinking about it that much. And he let them hear songs off an album, but he didn't let them hear a particular song, which they came to find out once it was released that the songs was taking shots at Pharrell, right? And this whole thing with the chain and all of that uh, being melted down after it was bought. That's what you heard with Drake and all of that in the Kendrick battle. So that rubbed Pusha T the wrong way. So that's why he took a couple of shots at Travis in this new record. So be it. But then he appeared, and this is on hiphopdx.com, in an interview with Ebro on Apple Music. One half of the clips further explained how his issues with Scott stem from when he interrupted a recording session with Pharrell and Paris. This is what Push is saying, and I quote, "I just thought it was disrespectful. We don't even want you here, to be honest. We're not here to hobnob with any rappers, and I personally don't like rappers who don't rap. I don't want to hear that. I don't want it." Now, when he said that, Malice started laughing, right? Like they've been talking about it. Uh, he also said, so to come and interrupt the session and do something backhanded and not for nothing, but I done had to put my arm around you before. But to go along with the title, So Be It, which is the new single, he does this numerous times. He'll do it with his mentor, Ye. So this sounds like, and there's another part he said, and I'm gonna try to play the audio for y'all. But that part is crazy. Like I don't associate with rappers who don't rap, and we'll fill in the blanks for those who don't understand. But let's see if we can get this to play. I just thought it was disrespectful. I'm like, man, we don't even want you here. To be honest, like we're not here to hognob with any rappers, and I personally don't like rappers who don't rap. Right. Like I don't want to hear that. Like I don't want it. So to come and interrupt the session, to do something backhanded and backbiting, and not for nothing, like, man, I didn't have to put my arm around you before. You know what I'm saying? But, to go along with the title, So Be It, he does this numerous times. You know what I'm saying? He'll do it with his mentor. Right. Yay. You know what I'm saying? He was even instrumental in the whole beef now, to like that verse. Right. You know what I'm saying? Egging that on. I don't want nobody who don't rap to egg nothing on. You don't rap. Stay out of rappers' business. You specifically stay out of rappers' business. Right. Don't do that. That's crazy to tell another man who is seen, known as a rap artist, that you're not a rapper. Stay out of rappers' business. It's crazy. But for those who are like, what do you mean by that? He raps. He's a rapper. What he mean is you don't have bars. You make songs, and what you're doing technically is considered to be rap, but you're not someone who creatively is interested in technique and elevating your skill level at any point in any record. So to him, it's like you don't even do this on a level that we do. You don't. This is not something you do. This is not something you want to do. This is not something you've ever done. So stay out of our business. When we are going at each other as rappers, as he said, he was referring to the Drake and Kendrick beef, saying that he's egging on this beef between these two, right? And I think in a lot of ways that's a admission to Drake being a rapper. Or maybe he's just talking about Kendrick's the rapper going against that non-rapper, which could be also what he's saying. But essentially that's what he's saying. Like, yo, you don't do this on this level. So stop playing in this section of the yard. Go over there, right? And he said specifically you. That to me that's interesting also because it's like don't respond whether you do it, and we can talk about that, whether you do it in written form, not written form, in audio form or in an interview, right? As far as, well, let me say it because both are audio, right? Respond via rapping or in an interview or whatever, or live or whatever. Don't try to throw other people who are like you into that conversation like a Drake just because you feel hurt by what's being said. And one other thing that was interesting, and this is why it's the title of this episode this week, is Bun B was on Shannon Sharp's Nightcap um, podcast, and he said, and he didn't pick a side, right? Because Travis Scott is from Houston, but he wanted people to know that Travis Scott is from Houston, and me knowing him, he's going to respond. He's not going to let that just go. Now, in the same breath, because originally I didn't even watch the rest once he said that, I was like, what being from somewhere got to do with you having the capability to battle or be nice enough or have the heart to do it, right? We all say that because of where we're from and the pride, but we act like we don't know suckers, right? Suckers are everywhere, okay? But with that being said, I thought about it. I was like, wow, should Travis Scott respond? Now, I tweeted out or posted, depending on where you are, that Travis Scott can respond, but he's going to get cooked like a Trill burger, flame broiled, right? Because it's true. There's nothing about Travis Scott's music that I don't dislike necessarily that told me he's a rapper's rapper. He's a bar king. He can go with the bars. He is a song maker and a highly successful one at that. But like Pusha T said, I don't want to hear from you non-rappers. I don't like rappers who don't rap. I already gave you the definition of that. Bars. See, it's easy for me, right? Now, I'm not mad if he does, because as a man, I mean, and especially as an image, especially coming off a battle that had not only the hip hop heads' attention, but also the attention of um, the world in a lot of respects, especially because it was on like the Super Bowl. Because I know somebody might be like, "Oh, what do you mean the world? The world watches the Super Bowl, dog, and he performed not like us, right?" So then, what happens after that? People who don't know go and start Googling and everything, and they find a whole battle. So for someone of Travis Scott's stature, who is a bigger artist, regardless if you prefer Pusha T, he's the bigger artist, success wise. I don't know if he want to do that. He will not win. Ain't no amount of ghostwriters in the world because you don't have that built-in integrity already to lift your bars up, even if you come out with something dope. Because the minute Pusha T decides, okay, now I'm gonna put all my attention on you, it's lights out. We know it's gonna be lights out. We know we already listening to these Clipse records like, my God, Pusha may already have it. This may be the reason why he's so open about talking about it, because he already got the bullets in the clip. He's just waiting for this dude to do some non-rapper, I'm better than you, I'm richer than you stuff, so he can mark him out for the rest of eternity. And some people may say, well, Travis is too successful for that. Ask Drake what that feel like. I mean, I got a best of Drake playlist. I got Drake albums. I like Drake. but he is eternally scarred by this battle so much that he started chipping in with some of the scarring of himself, just doing stuff because he don't know what to do. I should be better because I'm richer and I'm more popular, but he wasn't. So my advice to Travis Scott: ignore it. Ignoring it is the easiest thing you could do, because you know why? After the people get exhausted with imagining what that battle would be like, they move on. And months down the line, you drop a single or album and you good. But if you engage, we are going to learn things about you that we did not know. And some of your fans are going to be like, hey, I don't like him no more. It happens. Ask Ja Rule. Ja Rule was hot. 50 said, yo, he sing for hoes like the Cookie Monster, and everybody said, oh, Ja Rule's whack now. I'm like, what? Yesterday we were partying to his records. Just happens. So move accordingly is what I have to say. And I know that was a long-winded section, but it's brewing. It could be on and popping by the time this is out. Who knows? Next story. So according to Lil Wayne's son, Lil Wayne wrote most of Drake's lyrics back in the day, I guess. Here's the quote. My dad wrote most of Drake's ish. I mean, on God. Like, if it wasn't for my pops, there wouldn't be no Drake. I mean, there probably would be a Drake, but he wouldn't be where he's at, though. No disrespect to Drake. He hard. First of all, Shorty, pause. Second of all, if y'all see the photo of Shorty, my God, is that Lil Wayne? I don't know. To these y'all young cats, y'all just don't know. Sometimes y'all just say stuff, right? Now, do I believe him? I don't know. I don't even know how old Shorty was when Drake was out. He looked wild young, so he may feel some kind of way about Drake because of something else. We know what that is. So maybe that's why he's saying this. Because I mean, what Shorty, go to the store. Go play with your Nintendo Switch, right? Do you really know? Have you been told this? If you were in the session, how old were you? And I'm talking about early days. Now, if he's saying Lil Wayne been writing forever up until recent times, then that's something different. But I don't know whether to believe him or not. I have a lot of questions in that regard. But let's play in hypotheticals. Is there a clear sign lyrically that Lil Wayne could have wrote a lot of stuff for Drake? Which, if I'm looking at what his son is saying, he's probably talking about hits. Absolutely. There are songs, and you know how I know? If you know the artist well enough, especially as a fan, right? I'm a fan of Lil Wayne, I'm a fan of Drake. Especially knowing all the things that have been exposed over time with Drake, sometimes you wonder, what was his pen? What song is definitive on some rap stuff? Definitively his pen. Drake wrote that. No one else. We can't really take the word from Drake because he's been trying to flashy thing us with everything, right? He's trying to flashy thing us with the damn battle. Like, he won in round twos and tooted out lips with a bunch of grown men in the mall. But some of us is like, we too hip hop for that. So we don't know what to believe. We would like to believe some of your best bars came from you. And I think in some ways it has to be. Because like early mixtape Drake, before he was really affiliated with Lil Wayne, it wasn't like he was whack. And then all of a sudden he switched. Now we know with Lil Wayne, it wasn't like he was whack with Cash Money initially, but we know his style switched drastically. And some call it the influence of Gilly the Kid on Cash Money. And then others call it Gilly was writing those bars, because if you didn't know, Gilly the Kid is not just a bald head dude with a podcast who look like he having a stroke every time he talk. He had bars back in the day. He was a spitter out of Philly. Like, no, I don't care what he looked like. Him, Joe Budden, yo, these dudes could rap. There's a reason why some people listen to them, right? Because they know what they're talking about. So it was like with Lil Wayne in that whole situation, I could hear the bar version of Lil Wayne in some of Drake's music, right? I could hear it. And we know there's songs that were instrumental in Drake's beginnings, best I ever had, that came from somebody else, right? So the whole Frankenstein's monster hip hop theory on Drake was early. Now, real quick, I'm gonna just say that because I've been making these podcasts way too long lately, but I just want to say that early on, I mean not early on, but a known thing in the record industry, even if you're not in it as a fan, that's like a pattern that you can see is that typically most rappers get on based off of their own merits, right? In Drake's case, it's like I can rap and I can sing and I can make beats and here's my mixtape, right? Same thing with J. Cole, right? I can rap, here's my mixtape. Like everybody has that origin story that is absolutely their pen. Unless you were lacking in a lot of areas creating your first album and the record company had to assist, whether it's writers, whether it's the right beats. It's all about, it's not just about the music, it's not just about the pen, it's also about the marketing of that individual. I could see in some instances a person not having enough. And so they created. Now, that doesn't mean Drake can't learn from that and then know how to create it for himself and not need a bunch of people, like as far as writers and producers. But history and recent history has shown that you have to look at his situation with a side eye. And maybe you remember that show, Kids Say the Darndest Things? Maybe Shorty is like, I don't care. My pops was writing that stuff. And maybe even if he was too young to really know it, he might be standing around Wayne in the living room. He looking at a Drake video like, I wrote that. Not even talking to Shorty, but Shorty's just listening because that's his father. You look up to him. I mean, you look at the picture, you're like, damn, is he him? If your dad is like on the phone and like, they owe me money because blah, 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 blah. I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. And some people will say, well, why don't Wayne just say that? Well, because it's not on. If it was on between Drake and Lil Wayne, which things look suspiciously like it is, but they're just not airing it out and they don't want to pick sides and all that. And I don't think Lil Wayne wants to get involved in that way, but it would be dope. Imagine if Lil Wayne just made a diss record about Drake and they went back and forth. I think I'd be here for that because that would be a lot. It would air out a lot of information. So is Shorty telling the truth? Who knows, right? It could be his emotional attachment to that relationship, but also could be his emotional attachment that tells him, "Yeah, you asked me. My pops wrote most of that. He wrote some stuff, but if it wasn't for my pops, he wouldn't be on." And there's a lot of truth to that. So let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. Do you believe this little cat? I don't know. You tell me. And lastly, so y'all know, I did a recent episode, the best of 2025 so far. You will see more lists start to come out. I just kind of followed the steps of Rolling Stones. They already dropped their joint. So I was like, I'm going to drop mine. And I knew there was a possibility that there could be albums released between, because the ideal time to drop those are after the second quarter, which is around June 30th, and as of the recording of this video and this podcast, we got like another week or so to go, right before we get there. But I kind of wanted to put mine out because it just didn't feel like there was anything on the horizon that was going to make my best of 2025 so far. Well, I think I was wrong, because the album I'm reviewing today on the podcast, if you don't know, project, EP, whatever you want to call it, is featuring Davies and Young Chris, and it's called Fine Dining. This is Davies' second collaboration with another artist this year. He did a project with Ransom called Final Call, which made my best of 2025 so far. Well, guess what? Davies on two lists, because long story short, I like it a lot. I like it a lot. I like the bars. I like the beat selection. I like the vibe. I like the pairing of those two. I think the pairing of Young Chris and Dave East is a little bit closer to synergy than Ransom and Davies, even though that project was still dope. This feels more organic, and maybe it's just more my style as a listener, but I can listen to both. Now, yeah, I know how I do when it comes to reviews. I listen to it 3 times. My first listen is just impressions, right? Second listen, I'm going to listen more intently to the songs, the bars, the concept, all of that. And my third listen is just to confirm my thoughts. And like I said, this project is, I mean, it's dope. It's dope. I like it a lot. Now, is it best of the year? I don't know. We'll determine that when we get to the end. And there's a couple of features on here, but not many. It's really like 3, Ransom being one of them, on a song called Kiss the Sky. And I like it a lot, man. Like, there's probably one song on here, and I think it's the joint called Ain't Adding Up. I think so. I'm forgetting a little bit, but there's no skips for me on here, and I've already listened to it about 4 times, to be honest. There's no skip for me. Like, I could let it ride, and I don't know. Maybe it's the timing of this album, the music, the fact that we about to get a heat wave of 90-degree weather after having a bunch of rain. So now I get to pop out in my shorts and show off my work from the gym, stuff like that. Maybe that's what it is. But long story short, I know I probably said that. Long story long, then, okay? Uh, is that if you like Davies, and if you've been missing, honestly, Young Chris, and we all know, I'm not even gonna get into it with Young Chris and Hove. But Young Chris is a respected MC. And this pairing with Davies was something that was not on my bingo card, but it's pretty dope. It's pretty dope. It's boom bap, is recognizable samples from hit records, not necessarily all recent. A lot of maybe soul records, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's a sample of Rolls Royce on here. Love Don't Live Here No More, right? They flipped that beat. Like, it's things like that that made me love um his mixtape from last year with Scram Jones, called For the Love. Like, I just love what they were doing with the production, right? So if you like these two artists, if you like what this sounds like, because it's not just, not just the lovey-dovey tracks, it's some boom bap there. There's even some little bit of, 808 trap kind of feeling stuff there, but that's like one song, right? Which is not a problem. I think you would like this project. I know a lot of artists release albums like crazy today. Um, like Boldy James, he probably released 100 albums so far in 2025. But I think if you're going to release 3 or 4 projects, if they're quality projects, especially something like this that's a collaboration, so you get to hear him with a different artist and you can tell the vibe is different, I'm all for it. Like, if Dave East wants to do 2 more of these with artists that make sense, I be with it. You know what I'm saying? As long as this level of attention is put on the beats, the choices of beats, the bars, even the concepts in some ways. So I enjoy it. So have you heard Davies and Young Chris's latest project, Fine Diamond? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Leave your review in the comment section below. That's going to do it for me. You can follow me on social media at Vegas World INC. You can check out the podcast in audio form on Apple Podcasts. Also review it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all audio podcasting platforms. Or you can check me out live and direct on YouTube at Hip Hop Now Podcast. Hit the like button if you like this episode. Subscribe if you love the content. But more importantly, share it with people you know enjoy this kind of content. Until next time, y'all, I'm not a critic, I'm a fan. Peace.